I'm sorry. I was planning on doing a Patreon show and then just sending the audio to Twitter Spaces, Patreon and Twitch subscribers. I was gonna send the audio to Twitter Spaces, see if we get some MAGA retards in there. But I downloaded an emulator and it just kept crashing my computer over and over again. I've just been trying to get rid of it for the last hour and a half at least. You can't do Twitter Spaces from a PC. It's only from your phone. You have to have an emulator or some shit. It didn't work. Thank you for the resubscription. What's up, Thomas?
What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay.
I also got a donation while I was offline. It's from Phil Hates His Cranks. Thank you for that. He says, keep up the good work. Thank you for pushing back on the bullshit no matter where it's coming from. New media and independent media will save us. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. I've got an emulator, like when we get sponsored by mobile games, I've got an emulator for mobile games, but this has to be, it was just for games. It wouldn't run X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it.
Beat the odds, beat the big house. The brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves, we won't let the world burn.
A MAGA what is a MAGA retard? The MAGA retards that I argue with every day on Twitter. The people still running around saying the election was stolen. They cheated. The weirdos. So upset people are calling them weird. It's funny because it's obviously it's stupid, it's dumb, it's like childish. It's so fun that they get so upset about it. Anyways, I'll make up the Patreon show tomorrow. Patreon and Twitch subscribers tomorrow. I messed up. I can't. I'll have to come here earlier if I'm trying to get an emulator going. It was just going to be audio on Twitter for free if you want to just listen to the show, but no video. But it wasn't working. I think it's actually streaming to Twitter right now, maybe. Let me see. It might be streaming video to Twitter. Yeah, it is. It's streaming video to Twitter right now. I couldn't get the spaces to work. All right, here we go. Roll the intro.
Hey Daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome everybody. Sorry for being late. It's 100% my fault and kind of messing up this show format. I was trying to download an emulator, like a cell phone, like an Android emulator. I have one called BlueStacks, and I use that whenever we're sponsored by a mobile game. I use that to play a mobile game on the PC so I can stream the mobile game to you guys while we play it with a link to download it or whatever. You know, we did like Raid Shadow Legends, all those silly games. Anyways, I was trying to download that, and I downloaded a different one called MeWe or some shit. It's supposed to be like a lightweight emulator, and it just kept crashing my computer. Then I got stuck in a boot loop to where it would just fire up, blue screen, fire up, blue screen, fire up, blue screen. Finally, I got it back in safe mode and was able to. My daughter had a baby girl in 26. Congratulations. Her name is Hope. That's a good name. There's a funny show called Raising Hope. I think that's what the name of it is. Anyways, I messed up downloading that, messed up the show. I was going to do a Patreon and Twitch subscriber show, and then if you weren't a Patreon and Twitch subscriber, you could just hear the audio on Twitter, like a Twitter space, and see who bounced in there, who wanted to argue, who whatever, but it didn't work out. I have to come here earlier to get that working. Couple things. So let's start with this. Not specifically this, but I know video come out in the last couple days or today. Never before seen footage of Donald Trump. You guys remember the famous speech, "We love you, you're special, go home." At 3 hours after the rioting started, all that shit. Well, there was I don't know if anybody's ever seen. I don't know how this came up or why it's resurfacing. But I didn't know there was a longer version of this video. I saw it on a stream today, and I was like, what? So there is a longer version of that video, and I've never seen it before. I think this is the clip for it. It came out with the Jan 6 committee, and I don't know why I've not seen it, but here you go. Anyways, it's trending again on Twitter.
It's no coincidence, then, that President Trump finally gave in and went out to the Rose Garden at 4:03.
So the testimony from inside the White House is they were literally asking him to do something for about 3 hours. It didn't seem like that was his agenda. And then finally they talked him into making a video for Twitter. They wrote him a script for it, asked him to tell everybody to stand down, go home peacefully, but he went off script, of course, he always does, and this is what we got from that.
His staff had prepared a script for him to read, but he refused to use it. As you can see on the screen, you can see the script is stamped "President has seen." The script said, quote, "I'm asking you to leave the capital region now and go home in a peaceful way." The president was urged to stick to this script, but he spoke off the cuff. Eric Hirschman and Nick Luna went with the president to film the message
I thought I watched all the J6 stuff. I guess I missed this somehow.
in the Rose Garden. Let's hear what they had to say and see the never-before-seen raw footage of the president recording this video message.
Ultimately, these remarks that we're looking at here in Exhibit 25 were not the remarks that the president
I'm asking you to leave the Capitol Hill region now and go home in a peaceful way.
delivered in the Rose
Uh-oh.
Michaela Robertson 81 gifted Yellerina.
Thank you for the gifted sub.
Garden. Do you know why the president decided not to use these?
Given 39 gift subs in the chat.
I don't know, sir. No, I do not know why.
Did the president use any written remarks to your knowledge, or did he just go off the cuff?
To my knowledge, it was off the cuff, sir.
I think this is probably a time, like I know he likes to go off script and do his, I think this is probably a time, if there was any time, this is the time you should probably stay on script, right? This wasn't when they were like just standing outside shouting and building guillotines, and somebody's currently arguing with me that the guillotine wasn't functional on Twitter. Like that fucking matters. It's the threat implied when you build a guillotine and put Pence's name on it. No one thought you were actually going to get to him, drag him out there, and fucking pull him up on the guillotine and kill him. The problem is the threat implied. If I make a statement that I'm going to kill the sitting president, they're not going to show up with an AR-15. They're not going to show up and do a functions check on my rifle. And if it won't function, a failure to load, failure to fire, then they're like, oh, you're good. You are good. Sorry, we thought you had a working AR-15. I don't even have to own the weapon, right? When you show up with a guillotine, clearly there's a threat implied.
Good, Chase. When you're ready, sir. You'll be right behind me.
And you would think this would be pretty urgent as well. Like, he wants it to be perfect. Who's behind me? What's going on? I would have expected to see something come out immediately and rushed.
You tell me when. When you're ready, sir. Who's behind me?
Somebody open the door and close it.
He's gone. He's gone around. We're all clear now. I know your pain. I know you're hurt. We had a election. Let me see.
This does not sound like a guy. Again, he was telling people around him he knew he lost. He even made statements like, can you believe I lost to this guy, when Joe Biden was on the TV in front of Mark Meadows? Like, can you believe I lost to this guy? Like, he was telling people he knew he lost. And people were literally dying believing the narrative that he put out, right? They were dying just down the road at Capitol Hill trying to break in to the Capitol to stop the certification of the vote. That's just wild to me.
I know your pain. I know you're hurt. We had an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it, especially the other side. But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people.
I know you're hurt. I know your pain. We won in a landslide. It was still stolen from us.
People in law and order. We don't want anybody.
He knew this was potentially a thing beforehand. The plan was, Trump told many people the plan was, everybody knew there was a thing called the red mirage and a blue wave, right? And everybody knew it was going to be worse because there were more mail-in ballots. Everybody knew it was going to be worse because Donald Trump told his people, do not vote by mail-in ballot. Everybody knew it was going to be worse.
Hurt. It's a very tough period of time. There's never been a time like this where such a thing happened, where they could take it away from all of us.
Again, still, instead of just saying, look, he could have even said, we'll figure this all out. But you got to go home. This isn't the right way. He's like, nothing's ever happened like this where they took it away from all of us. They took it away from us and we're not getting it back. Wah.
From me, from you, from our country. This was a fraudulent election, but we can't play into the hands of these people. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special. You've seen what happens. You see the way others are treated that are so bad and so evil. I know how you feel. But go home and go home in peace.
When I got there, basically the president just had...
Again, many times he acknowledged he lost, even to like his advisors and his chief of staff, that he lost, but he wanted to keep fighting it anyways. He lost, but he was still tweeting out this stuff that had no substantial evidence with it.
Finished filming the video, and I think he was basically retiring for the day.
Was there any discussion about the
Retiring for the day.
president releasing a second video that day?
Seems like with all that stuff that was still going on, that maybe it wasn't time to retire for the day. Could you imagine if a mob of your followers, let's just say you're not even the president, let's say you're a fucking YouTuber, and you get a mob of your followers that goes and does something on your behalf, whether you told them to or not, you believe you didn't tell them to, but they did it anyways, right? And you're like, I've had a big day. I think I'm gonna go to sleep, while they're still fucking attacking and punching and hitting and fighting.
Not that I recall. When he finished his video, I think everyone was like, "Day's over." People were pretty drained.
We're pretty what?
Drained.
But we say day over. There were still people in the...
People were pretty drained by this point. By the point he made that video, people were pretty drained. We were tired.
Capitol at that point, weren't there?
There were people in the Capitol, but I believe by this stage, law enforcement, and I'd have to go back and look, but I believe...
This is 1,000% not true. They have a clip of what was going on at the exact time he finished his video.
Law enforcement was either there or moving in or going to take charge. I just say people were emotionally drained by the time that videotape was done.
Emotionally drained at the White House? Here's what was happening at the same time at the Capitol. We warned the audience that this...
At the exact same time at the Capitol. They were emotionally drained, calling it a day, resting for the evening, and here's what was going on at the exact same time at the Capitol.
clip also contains strong language and violence.
Keep pushing, don't lose the momentum.
Looked like at least one cop on the ground and maybe a protester as well.
You got another officer unconscious.
And then the one we were just watching, the body cam, just got knocked the fuck out.
Terrorist. What terrorist?
Everybody, we need gas masks. We need weapons. We need
He was pretty drained.
strong, angry patriots to help our boys. They don't want to leave.
Anyways, this was apparently part of the J6 stuff, but I don't know. I missed it. I don't recall seeing this part. By the way, I was reading through some of the charges. So there's a document where you can go through everybody that's charged for the January 6th thing. And I was reading through, and something that caught my eye, there was two separate cases. There were two separate cases of people who had, let me see if I can find this. I just clicked through like 10 of them, right? And the narrative is they showed up to be peaceful, and cops just let them in, right? There were two separate cases I found where the guys were carrying a chemical irritant, right? Tear gas. But it wasn't like a normal tear gas canister or tear gas canister or pepper spray. It wasn't like pepper spray, right? I shouldn't have said tear gas. I should have said pepper spray. It basically looked like a fire extinguisher, which I thought, that's interesting. I wonder what the fuck. I wonder what that is. I wonder what that's two brands that look like this fire extinguisher full of pepper spray. They were carrying around $700 bottles of fucking military grade pepper spray. Like what the 700? Like you showed up for a peaceful rally, but you were carrying a goddamn fire hydrant. You showed up to protest in peace, right? You were carrying around a fire hydrant. Okay, here it is. Let me see if I can find it. $600 or $700. Let me see. Hold on. There's the first result I clicked on. Here's the second one. So it's called the MK46H. MK46H OC aerosol, right? Here it is. It's $700 or $650. And it says the 46 ounce, which is huge, MK46 canister will deliver 26 short bursts of OC at an effective range of 25 to 30 feet. Stream delivery method provides a target-specific, strong, concentrated stream for a greater standoff. The 1.3 MC red banded canister indicates a major capsaicinoid, I don't know. It's got capsaicin in it. Level, which is discharged at the nozzle at the time of use. The MK46 features a trigger handle and is intended for use in crowd management. This formulation has been tested and is non-flammable and electronic discharge weapon safe. So it's good for tasers and shit. Defense technology, First Defense, OC aerosols are produced in an ISO-rated manufacturing facility. All major capsaicinoid percentages, MC percent, are verified by an independent laboratory for quality assurance. Like if you were showing up, that just blows my mind. Like if I was showing up for what I thought was a peaceful rally, I may have pepper spray on me, especially in a place where I can't carry my firearm. Do I think I'd have $700 worth of fucking pepper spray? A $700 and two separate cases I clicked on. They had footage of two different guys using this shit. Both of them were male. Both of them were kind of, I don't know, kind of chubby. Had baseball caps on and bandanas, but it was two separate. You could clearly tell it's two separate guys, and obviously it's two separate people being charged. But there's a database for this shit. Oh, I also had a guy come at me today on Twitter for thanking, like saying thank you, for thanking people for $2 donations. So from now on, there will be no Thanksgiving. It's $1,000 minimum. They basically came at me and said, well, I'll just go read it. Hold on. You thank people for $2 donations. I said, I thank people for all levels of donations. And they returned with, they always use the wrong form of your. They always use the possessive form of your. You're so successful that you need that $2. Ha ha. I said, I thank every level of donation because I appreciate my audience allowing me to do this. Cool flex, though. I don't understand what it's from someone named KR Baby Boomer, so I didn't figure it'd be the greatest fucking jab I've ever received. A guy with a site with a few subscribers and thanking them for $2 donations. This is their Twitter page, by the way. KR Baby Boomers. Abolish the monarchy, waste the money, let them eat cake. Camilla's panties for a hat. 500,000 euro dinners. Where will it end? These are obscene amounts of money. For what? Who is benefiting from this? The office of President Emmanuel Macron was pushed to a record high deficit last year. One of the reasons a state dinner with the UK's King Charles III that cost the French nearly 500,000 euros. Seems that the royals aren't happy with just spending British cash So I don't know who this fucking person is. It seemed very involved in British politics. I'm going to post a picture of Trump with a black person every day until the election to show what the media is trying to hide. That Trump knows black people? Is that like, I have a black friend, I can't be racist? I guess yachting paid off enough to get rid of that nose. On the way to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania for the Trump rally, 13% of rally goers are not registered to vote. That's why we show up. Sharing Dom Lucre shit. Here's the line to rapper Megan Thee Stallion and Kamala Harris's free concert in Atlanta. Every time Democrats are losing, they will use black Americans as a last resort. They do it each time. Wait a second. So the Democrats, when they're losing, they use black Americans. But Trump said, hey, black people, what do you got to lose? When your messaging goes horribly wrong, hero personal. I don't think he ever posts anything. He just reposts fucking all of his shit, right? He reposts everything he can find. Apparently they hate Phil for some reason. But this is the guy who's like, you take $2 donations. Okay? I take all amounts. But if someone donates it's not even $2. If you donate $8, I'm going to be like, thank you for the donation. What am I supposed to do? Be like, that's not enough. You don't get me saying thanks unless it's $1,000. That's how we roll around here. I just thought it was weird. But that's not even the weirdest thing that's happened. Last night while I was live on the show, someone was rage emailing me in a complete magatard spiral. Would you like to read it? Would you like to read it with me? Let me know in the chat. If you want to read it, we'll read it. Let me know. And we'll break out this spiraling message full of threats, weird analogies, shit that don't even make sense. It's chock full of them. A thread about showing it to my audience. Like, if you want to be a pussy and tell your audience, that's fine. It's just weird. Weird. So the person comes out as Wyatt Earp the Fourth. That's their handle. Wyatt Earp the Fourth. And I'm going to start with the the very first email I got. Here we go. And they wrote it almost like a poem. I'll show you how it's laid out. Hold on. Look, it's laid out like a poem. No sentence structure, no nothing. Just line, enter, line, enter, line, enter, line. It's all laid out like a poem. Here we go. Wyatt Earp the Fourth had this to say. Hey, goat roper, expert war hero, plant, you're going to need more than a cold beer. You get it? Because that's my name. Cold Beer Confessional. That's the show's name. You get it? You're going to need more than a cold beer. Does everybody get it? I could draw a picture. You're going to need more than a cold beer. Little common sense would be helpful. Then again, maybe you're being perp walked. So maybe I'm being arrested or threatened with arrest to spin a narrative, or I've already been arrested, or these are recorded and not I'm not. What are you saying? Then again, maybe you're being perp walked. Why? So intelligent you are. I don't know what the Yoda, like he starts talking like Yoda halfway through half the emails. I don't know. Intelligent you are. So intelligent you are. Public humiliation is the ultimate punishment. Stay strong. So they're saying that I'm going to be arrested and shown that I'm not intelligent and perp walked, because that would be public humiliation, which would be the ultimate punishment, and I should stay strong through that. Godspeed, Wyatt. Now, you think that's the end of the email. It's not. Okay, that was just the end of the first haiku. Okay? Now we're on to the second section. Oh, it's absolutely 100% correct. It was all staged. in all caps. Nobody died in all caps. Then it breaks down to, I don't know who the fuck he's replying to. But here we go. This should put everything to final rest. The truth. You only need to watch the first 3 minutes. That's it. You didn't get played. You will understand soon, if not already. Back to the video. What an amazing footage and angle. Look how it amazingly just stopped. Not shown any further. Interesting. What don't they want you to? And then I think that's a taco emoji. What don't they want you to taco? I don't know. What? What don't they want you to taco? The truth. Pay attention to all the so-called private individuals' videos. They were in on it. Planning to take the videos from those angles for one purpose and one person only. One purpose only. So what he's claiming here is that every video, every angle we had, like even the people that were like, hey, they were yelling about a guy on the roof and telling the cops, even those people were in on it. Even those people were in on it. For one purpose and one purpose only. To make it look and sound real. So you would buy into it. There is a purpose for that. Soon you will know. How do I know they were partaking? Plants. Who controlling the footage being shown? If it were truly an innocent, independent person, you would be seeing it all. I don't know what the claim is here. Like a media agency probably gets submitted an entire video, or they find an entire video and they ask you for permission to use it. Never let the news use your shit without your consent. I would raise hell. Sometimes they'll even pay you for the footage if it's early enough. Like if you're early enough, they'll give you a couple $100. Who knows? But they get the footage with permission and sometimes payment, and then they clip whatever they want out of it, right? Hopefully, if they're an upstanding, they won't like clip out and spin a narrative, but they'll clip out like the dead parts, the non-interesting parts, the stuff that's too long for the news. They think people will lose interest. They clip those parts out, right, and play them. But I don't know what this innocent, independent person, you would be seeing it all. Oh, whatever. You know, if notice the lady behind Trump with the phone, the signs shot. So that's a whole paragraph here, okay? I want to reiterate, this is a whole cluster of a word. So it says, return, down a line. If notice the lady behind Trump, down a line, with the phone, down a line, the signs shot, shot, Can anybody tell me what the fuck that means? You know, if notice the lady behind Trump with the phone, the sign shot. Next paragraph. The timing. The actor Trump says, do mind if I go off script? Movie script? The timing of him turning his head perfectly at the same time saying shot twice. Shot to the ear and you're too late. You give democracy a bad name. You ask yourselves this little question. Why no video angle showing a bullet grazing his ear? Why no video angle showing a bullet grazing his ear? Ask yourself that question. Anyone? There wasn't one! Enjoy the show. Godspeed, Wyatt. And then he links this video. So let me grab this. Now, there's like 4 fucking more emails, but let's go to the video.
If you want to really
And it says we only have to watch the first 3 minutes. So we're going to watch the first 3 minutes of this video. Let's go.
If you want to really see something that said, take a look what happened.
On July 3rd, 2024, an announcement was made that Trump would be hosting a rally on July 13th at the Butler Farm Showgrounds in Connoquenessing Township and Meridian, near Butler, Pennsylvania. Preparations for the rally began on July 10th, with an advanced team setting up and installing generators in a large open field. This rally was part of Trump's...
I think there probably are at least a few angles from behind the president, on that side of the president, on his ear side, on his right side. But those are probably rounded up, confiscated pretty immediately. And we may see them later. Who knows?
Campaign strategy to gain support in Pennsylvania, a state that some polls suggest could be a key battleground. Trump arrived on stage at about 6:03 p.m. Take note of the several timestamps that are mentioned throughout this video, as it'd help in fully understanding the timeline of the shooting. After getting on stage, Trump goes on a rant about the increase in illegal immigrants during the tenure of Joe Biden, and at about 8 minutes into the speech, history happened before our eyes.
You don't mind if I go off teleprompter, do you? Because these teleprompters are so damn boring, I try and explain that.
By the way, he didn't even say script. He said, you don't mind if I go off teleprompter, do you? He didn't even fucking say script, like this guy claims.
Oh, wow. You guys are doing it. They're getting better with time. My guys, take a look at that chart. Take a look at the arrow on the bottom. See the big red arrow, right? So that's when I left office. That was the lowest point, and that comes right from the government services, comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. So that arrow is the lowest.
If you haven't realized that data sets like that, depending on what you have to know exactly. I never trust anybody that shows me a big bar graph on a big TV or whatever, right? Because depending on exactly what they're looking for, if you don't know the details of that study, it could be manipulated to hell and back.
Lowest amount of illegal immigration ever in recorded history into our country. And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people.
If you want to really see something that said, take a look what happened.
So he didn't say the word shot. He didn't say the word script. We're still watching.
A total of 8 shots were fired into the rally by Thomas Crooks, injuring Trump and 3 attendees before being fatally shot by a Secret Service sniper moments later. As the gunfire rang out, rallygoers shouted, "Duck!" A public assassination attempt of this proportion has not been seen in the United States for quite
I hate that white Lexus.
some time. This is because the United States has had a reputation of being able to shut the problem down before it appears. But what really happened in this case? We're going to rewind time and do a deep dive into the entire factors surrounding the assassination attempt, from the multiple witnesses who noticed
We're at 2.5 minutes. We got 20 seconds left. I don't know.
shooter to the setup of the Secret Service counter
You guys
snipers
seen
on the
anything
roof.
crazy?
This is one half of the Secret Service counter sniper team. This is the North team, and they are seen to be setting up. They're setting up their gear and machinery in their barn, which is going to be on the left side of the stage if you're facing the stage. This is the second half of the counter sniper team.
There is a claim floating around that that often Trump did not receive as many snipers as maybe he should have, depending on the distance from D.C. because of the because it was cost inhibitive, right? Because they're stationed out of D.C. I don't know if that's true or not. I just saw people claiming that and people asking about it, and I think the guy denied it, but still people are asking about it. He denied it in front of Congress, the acting director right now. But I just don't see that. Maybe we'll hear about that. I don't see that happening because nobody, and I mean nobody, has put up the cost to Secret Service teams as Trump has, right? He still rallied while he was fucking president. Like, you don't see that shit happening. And all of that nobody's had a bill. Like, if we were going to keep track of the expenses spent on Secret Service for any president or presidential candidate, it's got to be through the fucking roof for Trump, right? Because even when he was in office, had to have that detail. He was still doing rallies, had to have all those details. He announced super early and had all those rallies and that's crazy.
The South Side team. They are over here on bar number 14, which is on the right side of the stage if you're facing the stage. They are also clearly seen setting up with their gear. If imagining their...
These are the people that I'm pretty sure readjusted and took the shot.
Location and vantage point is a bit difficult. Here is an almost bird's eye view of the entire environment. If you're curious...
I think these guys are able to reposition and take the shot, because I think this guy's vision was impaired by the trees. Even though we see him adjust and look to the left, it doesn't seem like he took the shot. It seems like these guys did. And they were actually facing out the other direction, but repositioned once shots were fired.
Curious enough to ask which of these teams took out the Thomas Crooks? We have the answer. Watch carefully.
So that's the first 3.5 minutes of this video. All these people are in
The
on
last
it.
gunshot you hear
Everybody's
is the
in on
gunshot
it.
from the Secret Service counter snipers. Let's hear it again.
I watched Destiny the other day. I got the clip. This is an interesting clip. When we're talking about people like this, I think I shared it. We're talking about people like this Wyatt Earp guy, right? Once you've committed to everything's a lie, everything's corrupt, nothing's real, nothing's true, every court system, every person that says something bad against Trump, every phone call that's ever been recorded, every statement Trump made, they're all out of context, they're all fake, nothing's real. There's no argument to be had there, right? Just move along.
So you think that the courts are not corrupt and that they are flawless and that they would never have some sort of infiltration in the same way that happens in every single branch of the government?
So every branch of the government, the court, so you're saying the courts are not corrupt like every other single branch of the government? So we have to just believe that every person at every level individually is corrupt and they're out here murdering motherfuckers left and right to become president.
So you think that the courts are not corrupt and that they are flawless and that they would never have some sort of infiltration in the same way that happens in every single branch of the government?
If you want to take that argument, we can, but then we have nothing to argue on. If you're going to say that every single branch of government is corrupt, every single state legislature is corrupt, and every single state court is corrupt, then I guess okay. But then there's nothing we can talk about, right? Here's my question, though. If you think that all of these people are corrupt, why wouldn't you think OAN is corrupt? Why wouldn't you?
Right. Why wouldn't you think Tim Pool and Steven Crowder, OAN, and Ben Shapiro, why wouldn't you think all those people are corrupt? Everybody else is corrupt except for the people that are literally paid to sell you a certain set of ideas and keep you on the hook, because that's what you want to hear, right? We've talked about how well this fucking hysteria and shit sells. Channels literally have blown up, and just like Derek Johnson, right? He blew up just because he was willing to sell the hopium to the hopium addicts. And anybody could. Anybody could. We've done those videos. I've made fake fucking hopium videos. And I had one that got over 1 million views in different platforms. We got over 1 million views before it was taken down. And then people reposted it after that on their channels, and it got a shit ton of views. It was about Nasara Gassara. So everything's corrupt except for the small sliver of content that you choose to consume. But those people, even though they're incentivized to sell you this bullshit, like to tell you there's a civil war, then sell you Civil War supplies. To tell you there's a food shortage, sell you food shortage supplies. To tell you that the bank's going to go to zero, so they sell you somewhere to put your money other than the bank in silver. But they're not corrupt. They're the only people sticking it to the man or whatever.
When you think alternative media is corrupt, don't they make money selling the same type of lies?
Not every single place is corrupt. What happens is that there's localized places of corruption in which they feed their corruption through.
If we look at alternative media, they have an incentive to sell you a lie that there's voter fraud because it's what their audience wants to hear. What incentive would Raffensperger and all the Republicans in Georgia have to throw their own election for their own Republican Party? Why would they?
This is wild. The claim that he's going to make is that Raffensperger's son was killed in a car wreck, and that would make him lie against. I don't, just listen.
They want to do that.
Are you aware that it was either his son or his daughter, their partner got killed in a mysterious accident days before the election took place?
I'm sorry, their partner got killed.
Accident days before the election took place.
Days before the election took place. Now, somehow that made Trump call Raffensperger. So before the election, Raffensperger's son or daughter, their partner, got killed in a car wreck that was super sketch. Deep State did it. And that made Trump call Raffensperger and say, hey, it's just 11,000 votes, find them.
If people are willing to kill people to secure the results of an election, then why did Hillary win the popular vote but still lose the election in 2016?
I mean, do you think that this is the first time that an election has been rigged?
So
if it's that simple and we're just accepting like all the elections are rigged, why wouldn't they just rig it more?
every time we get an outcome we like, it's because it was rigged. And every time we get an outcome we don't like, it's because they rigged that one too. They wanted you to win just to prove that they don't rig the ones. Like, you understand, I can never falsify any of your claims, right? Like, you've created a conspiracy where you always have the conspiracy explaining why a bad thing is happening.
Right. They'll always fall back to, like, you'll say, what about this? Or what about this case? Or what about this evidence? And what do they fall back to? Deep state, propaganda, fake news, plant, conspiracy, right? Once they're that far, there is no debate to be had, even like a friendly, cordial debate. There is no debate to be had. Everything is rigged.
Or a good thing is happening because they want to hide the bad things.
You think my position is that when Trump winning in 2016, that the election was not rigged? Is that what you think that I think?
I think that if they had the ability, if they
No, I mean, a lot of you guys think that it was rigged for Donald Trump to win. Derek Johnson said that Trump had to win in 2016 because of the military operation, so it was rigged for him to win. But they're mad that other people rigged the elections, apparently.
We're going to kill people to rig an election. I don't know how Trump would have ever won in 2016. Seems like he would have lost there too.
It seems like it would be, clearly they were lax in security and shit. It seems like somebody would have just killed Trump. I mean, I'm not condoning that or advocating for it or nothing, but it seems like if we're going to kill people and this is the last guy we want to win, it seems like, right? I forget God's protecting him sometimes. But that's like what it's like dealing with like these wide earp type people, right? What argument do you have when everything's rigged and they're going on in these conspiracy-laden haikus and just emailing you 15 times? What do you say back? Next email. Imagine this. Shoot her down. Don't notice any blood on his head, area, or injury. This is all the blood on the ground stands from a person getting their brains blown out. So now he's saying that the person didn't die in the stands and there wasn't enough blood there to prove that. But it depends on what stands. So like one guy got gut shot, another guy got hit like in the thigh, another guy got hit in the fucking head. It seems like it was from the rear through and through. But there was like one picture with a ton of blood. But anyways. This is all the blood on the ground stands from a person getting their brains blown out. Where are all the investigators or law enforcement securing the area? Oh, because it's not a crime scene. It's a movie set. Just announced. Private funeral for the actor that got his brains blown out. Closed casket. Not safe for Trump to attend. Ha ha. Lastly, they found pictures in his phone of Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Like he didn't know what they look like. And then he sends me these 3 pictures. I'll download them and open them. So this is email number 2 and the evidence from email number 2. Sorry, I got to wade through my mountain of fucking dick pics and lolly content over here. Sorry. I'm trying to become a big YouTuber with the lolicon. You know how much they love that. Apparently. Here's one picture he sent. So we can't really tell. This might have been the guy who's gut shot. I don't know. We can't really tell how much blood is there. I mean, we see some on the back. We see some up here. Looks like this is covered with blood. I would say this area's probably got some blood on it. But okay, there's the blood. He says it's not enough. This says the gunman is shot, and it just shows a body laying there. Right, and it says the gunman is shot. Did this last one not download? There it is. And then he also sends this one, which is the entire area, right? And, well, where are the investigators? This can't be a crime scene. Well, I already see some yellow tape, but they probably taped off the whole goddamn area. Here's some more yellow tape, but I guess if you're spinning a narrative, you got to spin a narrative. It looks like the yellow tape might go all the way out into this first, what is that, probably 8-10 rows of stands right here, and then around the side. It looks like there's yellow tape there, but you know Wyatt Earp. Why are these objects in here blocking his way in and out? Upchurch. Motherfucker got on NBC News. Third email. This says, forwarded message to someone named Willie Roman, to Mike Penny at truthseeker88.com, to Sheepdog, to Marlon Saley, which is Mike Penny's money man, to the original Mark Z, and to me, from Wyatt Earp. And the subject says stage shooting. Not staged with a D on the end, but stage. Stage shooting. It says in haiku format, this was so fake. Watch, he smacks his ear, actor with blood pack. Next, if he was grazes by a bullet, then why did knowledge, no one get hit with bullets? Amazing. Now, all of a sudden, I'm reading this exactly right, all of a sudden, 2 people were shot, shooter is dead. I think 3 people were hit, right? 1 died. Well, 3 people outside of Trump. 3 people in the stands. Strange you didn't see people running, yelling, or screaming, help. Someone is shit. That's an exact, I'm reading, okay. Strange you didn't see people running, yelling, or screaming, help. ... Someone is shit. ... I'm working with what I got here. In any of the news media footage, this was staged. In the near future, they'll explain everything and what they did it live. JFK Jr.'s plane crash anniversary in 3 days. Movie is building for the big ending. Godspeed, Wyatt. Notice the person behind Trump with black hat glasses. He had yellow object in his right side hip area. And then they sign off as JFK Jr. Well, that's the last thing here. Well, I guess they're not saying, maybe they're saying notice the person behind Trump with the black hat glasses. He had a yellow object in his right side hip area. Maybe they're saying he's JFK Jr. I would imagine you've never heard of this maniac that's emailing me, unless he fucking emails you. I don't know why you would have heard of him. Yeah, those are pretty graphic photos. I don't want to show those, but there is a lot of blood. A ton of blood. Next email, right? So that was number 3. Here's number 4. From Wyatt Earp to Matrix Rhodes, MatrixRhodes, Matrix Rhodes at blackandwhitenetwork.com, and then to me, of course. I'm here as well. God saved his life, but didn't like his ear? Listen, you keep making this a left and right issue. The evil and corruption runs in all of it, both sides. Thinking you're part of the movie, sure, not showing any common sense. Look at him. Look at his hand. Side note, remember I shared the live footage of Trump assassination staged event? Live original footage when he grabbed his ear and lowered his hand? right before he drops down, there is not a single drop of blood on his hand. Keep that in your memory. Very important piece of evidence. Godspeed, Wyatt. And then he sends me these 4 emails, or 4 pictures attached to the email on email number 4. And let's see what those are. So they're all screenshots, very, very fucking blurry screenshots. Here's one. 2. By the way, it's almost impossible, especially with his hand already curled kind of like this. It's impossible to tell if there's any blood on his fingers. And shit don't just start, unless it's like arterial, it just start spurting blood immediately, right? Most superficial wounds, non-life-threatening wounds, seep blood, right? And it takes a second. I don't know if you've ever cut yourself, but one of the worst things to me, two of the worst things, when you stub your toe really bad and you know the pain's coming, but it hasn't hit yet. You know what I'm talking about? Like, it doesn't hurt instantly. Like, it takes us, it's almost like it's numb or you're in shock or something. Then the pain hits. And the other one would be the exact same thing with cutting yourself. When you cut yourself really bad, not bad, but when it's really bad, it's worse. Cut yourself really bad, you can see meat and tissue and flesh, and some of it's like where it's your layers of skin. Some of it's translucent. Plus, you can see like meat, and then it starts feeling full of blood. Like, I guess you feel the pain, but it's like, I don't know. It sucks. It fucking sucks. But you can see down in your body for a second, then the blood comes out. So that's that was what, image number 2. Image number 3 he sent is Trump looking at his own hand. Almost impossible to tell if there's any blood there. Look at this quality. He fucking took this on Bert's potato phone. Oh, Bert getting a cameo here. And then picture number 4, which I'll go ahead and warn you, isn't any better, even though it's supposedly an HDR. There you go. 4 pictures, no Trump blood. Next email. That was 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, this last email is 4 emails together. Okay, it's like 4 replies to the same email. I'm going to read them in the order I got them. Sound good? Email number 1. It's called, the title of it is, Call Me Crazy Drama Queenie Beer Boy. And it's got a beer emoji instead of saying the word beer. So it says, Call Me Crazy Drama Queenie Beer Emoji Boy. ... Which I knew it was serious then. I was like, holy shit. This guy has my number. Calling me out for internet fisticuffs. So here we go. Another historical moment for a so-called expert truther. Stated, there's going to be an event from the Black Hats, a last-ditch effort. Seriously. They need to take a common sense break. Anyone that's even remotely in the upper government or associated with the cabal are gone or have been flipped, made a deal. So if everybody's gone, who set up this shooting? Wyatt Earp. That's kind of weird. If ... we know Biden and others are actors ... not the real person ... The 5 dots there. You think for 1 second they wouldn't have known or tipping them off? So, as long as the fake Biden has been in place, the White Hats have been running the show. What you're witnessing and experiencing now, the exposure, not the word exposure. EXPOSURE, exposure, right? Like exposing something. But exposer, E-X-P-O-S-E-R, exposer, E-X-P-O-S-E. This person really struggles with the English language, okay? Exposer. The exposer of everything with actors. Now, he meant exposure, obviously. The more obvious and ridiculous these events become, telling you we're getting closer to the end. So the more ridiculous everything becomes, that's the closer to the end we are. They're having fun at our expense, right? They're like, I can't believe these idiots believe that some fucking loser, neckbeard, fucking loner piece of shit took a shot at the president. Y'all know that's not the real Biden. So if he's and actor then, not and. So if he's and actor then, you should understand everything is staged and planned out. Except for the people in the public in denial. They wouldn't put an actor out there, then take the bad ones down. That part / operation all happened before they put the fake guy out there. May of 2019. Majority of people didn't even realize it. But I did. I'm wide erp. Public exposing portion coming soon from what I'm seeing now, ... Soon for me is within a couple months. So coming soon, and they want to clear up that like soon for me is a couple months. The exposure's coming soon. And what I mean by soon is within a couple months. The removal of the actor Biden was a marker in the movie. Right, doesn't the villain get caught at the end of a movie or dies? That's a sentence. I don't know what it means, but it says, right, doesn't the villain get caught at the end of a movie or dies? That's the first of the 4 emails that are replied to each other. Next, as old Doc Holliday would say, what's your wager? So I don't know if they're asking me to bet or something. I'm not even very clear on what they even believe. So I don't know what I'd be betting on. But there you go. There's a bet if anybody needs it. Next, they couldn't stop replying to themselves. I understand you have mail sorters. I guess they thought their email might not get to me. Oh no, this is gold.
That's my purse! I don't know you!
I understand you have mail sorters. I'm real and right here. Not going to talk about you on social media. Face to face in email. Face to face in email. See how that works? I'll meet you face to face at yahoo.com. If you need to express yourself online to your audience, I get your insecurity. You're good. And they use the wrong form of your, of course. Instead of saying you are good, they basically, it's my good, right? It's possessive. Then they reply to that email. This is the last reply. And it says, this is all it says. After all of this shit they've sent me, it's really 8 emails. The 8th email says, apologies. I forgot to, no, it just says apologies. Forgot to put a penny in the gumball machine to get an answer. These were all sent at midnight last night from, let's see, the first one came in at, here's the first one, came in at 11:45. The seventh one came in at 12:21 a.m. And the very final one, the gumball one or whatever, came in at 6 a.m. Literally all night fucking emailing me. What does this even mean? I feel like I'm on an episode of Lassie, the dog that like tells people like Timmy's trapped in the well, but I'm just like not a dog person. I'm like, whatever, go over there. And he's like, row, 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 row. I'm like, what? Nah, I'm good. You want to go out? Bye. And just shut the door. I don't know who the fuck this is or what the fuck they were saying or what the fuck their claim is. I don't know what any of this is. Everything's fake. Everybody was an actor. The deep state's all been arrested and replaced with actors. But who set up the shooting? I guess it was Trump. Trump set it up. That's why it was fake, because he's trying to finish his 8-year-long movie that he's making. I thought Titanic was a little long, so I don't know if I'm going to be in for an 8-year movie. But you guys probably know better than me, I guess. I don't know. Seems like the worst movie ever. This is a horrible fucking movie, and not a fan. Not a fan. Who is this guy? Here's a guy on the shooting saying that there was a shooter on the water tower, and we know that's not true. Let's see what's up.
All right. So new information is coming out every single day, but I think this information, this evidence that we're going to go over in just a few minutes is going to change your mind on a lot of different things.
From 2
Let's
days
get
ago.
into it.
Chat, we've talked about this. Why would the water tower be a bad place for a shooter? Everybody would have seen him. He has no cover, no concealment, and he'll silhouette himself. You silhouette yourself in the sky, right? You don't even have to be able to see the person. If you just see something moving around that's fucking not part of the water tower, you just shoot at it.
Hey folks, Gary here with Paramount, and I think like many of you out there, July 13th had a pretty profound effect on me, as it did the rest of the nation. I think it was clearly an attack on our country, a clearly attack on our democratic electoral system, and it had the major impact of just further erosion of our trust in government institutions and our own capabilities here in the United States. I think it's pretty hard for us to understand, or at least to process, when we have what we believe to be the absolute premier, the best in the world when it comes to personal protection, the Secret Service, and when we see such utter incompetence of what we think are the absolute best in the world, the idea of a conspiracy automatically jumps into mind, and I think we should ask those questions because I think that is actually.
I don't know that your first response, I think it's something that we've gotten to lately, or at least a lot of people have. I don't think conspiracy should be your first jumping point, right? The first thing should be like, wow, that's wild. Let's wait till we get some details. Oh, it seems like some people fucked up. That's still wild. No, what? I bet they get fired and there'll be a full investigation. And then, like, if the investigation starts coming out and they're not releasing any details and they're not really doing it, then maybe we might be like, well, is something going on here? But I don't think conspiracy is the first place to leap to.
Actually a very real possibility, and we're going to explore some of that tonight. But I really do think
it's the quartering on HGH. This is the happening.
It's important that we have an insider look and understanding of what normal looks like, right? So for us to determine something suspicious, we have to have a baseline or what normal looks like so that we can pick out the things that are suspicious, that aren't normal, and we can direct our attention to those. Because I do think there's been a lot of theories thrown out, and ultimately a lot of them that are easily proven wrong, that get us distracted. As a matter of fact, if you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend you go watch my interview with a former Secret Service counter sniper unit member. You can go watch that right there. It's part 1 and part 2. I think it's going to give you a real inside look at how the Secret Service works, and I think you'll find that very informative, to say the least, and give you a better idea of what's going on. But there's 2 theories.
Whether politically motivated, or to get your story out there, or to get people talking, or to spread a narrative, or a little bit of fame, people will say stupid shit. Even people that served with the Secret Service, even people that have served like that Dr. Jan, even people that served as an advisor for the DOD, even people that's been in the service, even people that have done things. This is something we have to get through. Like, it even affected me right after the 2020 election. Like, I didn't think that people with that much to lose would just come out and fucking lie right to my face about the election. Right? Like, they did.
That keep coming up that I want to address head on tonight. Number one is the water tower, right? We think we see somebody on the water tower. What does that mean? If it was someone on the water tower, did they get a shot off at Trump? The other thing that I've heard a lot of is that
we don't see anybody on the water tower.
That was actually.
I think we've been over all the footage. There's like a device up there that I think is like a metering device, like a level to send a remote level back. It's like a cap on the water tower. But that guy, if that's a person, that guy on the water tower is like 10 foot tall.
Possibly a government counter sniper unit that actually shot the shooter, and that the Secret Service counter sniper team that we think shot them didn't actually shoot them. We're going to address both of those. The other theory that's very pervasive that keeps getting talked about is, and it's kind of linked into that sort of as well, but that's the second shooter theory or the open window theory, and that's what I'm going to call them just for the sake of it. But we're going to go through all this tonight, and we're going to give you some pretty compelling evidence. Then after we go.
By the way, we did find out, you know that photo of Crooks, the shooter, that's like above him on that concrete wall? We did find out that that's from that building. That the snipers left their post or whatever. That was taken and sent to a group chat where they were reporting things. That was taken from that building. That we were talking about. The snipers could have easily had line of sight for this guy right here in this building. They took it right out the window. It looked like it was from above, and people were saying, oh, it's from a drone or whatever. It was just from a second-story window directly down on top of him. They took a picture, said he looked suspicious, and then that was before they went to go find him, I guess.
Go through that evidence. I'm going to let you know what my thoughts are on it, or my conclusions are there. I want to know from you if you agree with that. And if I did address something to that, I also want you to put that down in the comments so we can try to address that head on in another video or in a podcast. You know, because that's what I want the channel to be. I want this to.
It's actually, if we look at this map, there's actually a concrete wall right there. That's where they took it from. Let me zoom in. So right beside this building, you can see this sidewalk goes into a wall, a concrete wall. That's the wall that he was kind of like leaned over or like crawling across or whatever. And they took it from a side window straight down on top of him. Now, he'll end up being way the fuck over here, but they were in one of these two interior windows, probably the one closest to the center here that the mouse cursor's on, and they left their post. It seems that way. They left their posts. They should have easily been able to see them.
This channel to be a collection point where we can come together and we can talk.
I did see the interview of the local police saying, like, we didn't have contact. We didn't do this. They were supposed to do a rundown. I'm waiting on a report to say that, right? A published report to say that, because we've seen too many times cops cover their own ass and cover other people's asses. Be like, oh, well, they didn't tell us this. Nope, nobody told us that. And then it's like documented or videotaped that clearly this did happen. So when a report says that, I'll cover it.
Talk through this, and we've already had some experts on. We're going to have more, but I want to be able to have a open and honest discourse on this so that we can do what we can to make sure that we're not distracted by things that are easily proven wrong. And I think no matter what, regardless of this, and we the American people need to stay focused on what is 7 p.m. Eastern time, right? You listening to other podcasts or listening to other videos.
Plus, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, this guy has 98,000 subscribers. This video from 2 days ago has 1 million views. There is an incentive to make these type of videos saying, well, was there a stopper on the water tower? Well, was there 2 shooters? Was the Secret Service just set up and not underfunded and didn't do this part of it? He only has 98,000 subscribers. This video has 1 million fucking views. That is way outside his average viewership. There's an incentive to make these videos right now. 100%.
Like that. So make sure you come join us, be part of the community, and be part of the.
Just like Ryan was like, I think I found Kylie Rodney. Look, guys, here she is on Instagram. She's just 10 years older.
Solution. That's really what it's about. All right, so let's get right into this. So first of all, we have the water tower. So let's take a look at this video, and
I guarantee you it gets new followers. If you scroll through his comments, people would be like, oh, just first video I've seen. You got a subscriber here or whatever.
We're going to zoom in. We're going to analyze this a little bit. I'm going to give you my thoughts on that.
Look at what happened.
That's the backside of a shadow. Okay, look. Let me see if I can zoom in. Oh, wrong button. It's hard to see, but just not the stick part, but just the triangle part of my cursor is a 4-foot handrail. Okay, 4-foot handrail. If we take this up here, how tall is this guy? Is a 10-foot tall guy on the very top. Like he couldn't even get here or set up some type of distraction, something. He's on the very top of the water tower. All this is you're seeing half of it in sun and half of it in light. Let's see if we can do this. This is the dumbest theory. And if he knows anything about tactics or guns or shooters or whatever, obviously he's only sharing this for content. That's what's going on here. There's no fucking way he actually believes this shit. There's no fucking way. So what are we seeing here? So what we could be seeing... Oh, no, where's my color palette? Oh, it's over here. So what we could be saying, let me get my pen, is, oh, God, that won't do. That will not do, chat. What we could be saying is this is the top of the water tower, and we have this here, right? But that's not what we're seeing. What we're actually seeing is this is all part of the water tower. That's the only thing that would make it center. And then this half has a shadow on it. Okay? If we say, okay, that's a person, then we're going to say that this is the top of the water tower. Why the fuck is it 6 feet off center that way? Obviously not. I think so a lot of these water towers are older, and they'll have like digital ways to monitor the level, and they'll have mechanical ways. So what's a mechanical way to monitor the level? There'll be a float in there. Right? There'll be a device that floats up and moves. Usually it's like on a screw mechanism. It moves a plate that screws up and says, there'll also be a way to access there. There's like a manhole. But yeah, this is a metering device. It's an access. It's a thing. And it's on both sides. So it's centered. That's the whole top of the water tower. If that was a guy, then the thing on top would be way the fuck off center, and then there's a guy just chilling, leaning up against it. That's silly.
You see a shadow on a highly pixelated screen there. There's a couple things that go through my mind. I am a former sniper. We currently teach long range. I've been shooting long range for a long time. I spent a lot of time behind cameras, filming all this stuff.
And why would you never have a sniper be on the tallest fucking thing around with a clear goddamn blue sky behind you? Ever.
I'm used to looking through optics and seeing mirage and other artifacts that take place because light is being distorted. And quite frankly, that's what I see there. I could be wrong. I'm willing to admit that. The other thing that I'm really curious about, and I was looking for some
Then why even share it? Just say there's no, the water tower, I've seen the water tower thing. That's not what it is.
Of blueprints online is trying to get an idea how tall that water tower is, and
there it is. There's the top of it right there.
That's thing coming out of the middle of it is how tall that is. I'd like to know.
See, it's got a thing on both sides. Look at this. This is 4 feet here. This thing on top of it's probably 10 feet.
How tall it is, and I guess that's probably some sort of ventilation. That would give us an idea if there was a person standing up there or not. And then, does a person size jive with what we're seeing compared to how tall that is?
No.
I don't know. I don't have an answer for you on that. I don't think that's person. The other thing I'll say is if you were to put someone on that water tower, at the very top of that where it's sloping, and I don't mean to sound like Director Cheadle here, it was too sloped, but that's a really bad place to be on a water tower. When you're talking about a water tower, those things have layers and layers of paint on there. The tops of those are very slick. I've been on water towers. I've never been on the very top like that. I've been on the catwalk around there. Usually those catwalks around a water tower are like 18 inches, 24 inches. There's not a lot of room to maneuver. If I was a shooter, or as my old job as a sniper, that's not a place that I would want to be. And on top of that, it'd be almost impossible to get a stable shooting position from a standing position up there. It'd be very, very difficult to get a good standing shooting position up there. It didn't look to me like there was anything that would indicate that we're using a tripod or any other type of thing that would provide additional stability. So that's my initial thoughts. The other thing that I immediately thought of when I saw this video was, this obviously came from a cell phone. It's very pixelated. It's far distance. All the cameras and cell phones use a lot of processor power to manipulate the photo. They're constantly trying to turn to sharpen that image, and that has been known to distort images as well. Let's put my personal opinion on this aside for a minute. Let's say that was a person up there. What does that mean? What's the follow-on questions for that? The questions to me are, did they shoot from that position? I'd say it's very difficult to shoot from that position, but forget about that. Did they shoot President Trump? Were they shooting at crooks? What does that mean? And can we prove that one way or the other? And I think we have an answer to both of those questions. But let's put the water tower theory on hold for just a second. Let's talk about the second shooter theory or the open window theory. And I'm going to play you some video. If you haven't seen this before, we're going to see what this is, and then I'm also going to show you a video from inside of that.
Here's a much better angle of it in high quality. There you go, chat. There's the walkway. There's the access. This is from the other side of it, right? That's the group of trees behind it. There's the catwalk, right? And probably that might even be above a 4-foot rail. There is the ladder that goes up to it, and then there's the thing on top.
That room to be able to show you the view outside that room and the possibility of there being a second shooter in general, but even more specifically, a second shooter inside of that room. Because I'll be honest with you, if I was
oh yeah, second shooter inside that room where the snipers were at all fucking day. That's why the window's open. That was where the local law enforcement snipers were.
A sniper trying to take out Trump in a urban area like this, which really this is anytime we have structures, this is urban sniping, right? Where you typically want to be is in the rear of a room or even in the next room, looking through one room, through a window, through your target. So all that distance gives you a loophole to shoot through, and it obscures your sound signature as well as muzzle blast. So let's take a look at this and see how viable this theory is.
Behind it, there's a window here, and in this room up here, you can very easily see onto the top of this building. So this position right here has total vantage to see the entirety of the roof here. And so
there's all the photos. Here's the concrete wall. See the concrete wall running beside the building here? And then here's a picture of him on that concrete wall. This is a cell phone picture they took. He was sitting on it at one point, and I guess he wasn't crawling. He just kind of turned sideways and looked behind him. But that's the concrete wall of that building. Those snipers took that picture of him sitting on this concrete wall. It's actually, let me move this. The part he was sitting on was either down at this end or at this end. I would say it's probably at this end. He was looking over back behind him. That's where they took the picture of him. And I don't think it was long after they took that picture. I'm not for sure certain. I don't think it was long after they took that picture that they went to go search for him. Also, I went to a forensic bullets, firearm, bullet trajectory forensic expert. And had some visual aids drawn up for you of exactly what happened that day. Okay. So here are the best recreation that we could get of what happened that day. Are you ready? Trump crying for some reason. Bullets at his temple. Bullet passing his temple. Bullet exiting his ear. There you go. Perfect. Yeah, and he flew a drone there and shit. Like, there's a bunch of stuff. These are the dumbest fucking shit I've ever seen. Seems like something the magatards would masturbate to. Look at the blood droplets. Pew, 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 pew. They're beating their dicks, for sure. They're beating their dicks 100% of that. There it is. Somebody flew a drone over it. Look how round it is. I don't even think... You would have to be tied off and everything to even get off this catwalk, or the ladder access part. So a lot of times there'll be a ladder partially way up and the rest of it will flip over if you have to get out here. But I mean, that's all around surface. Imagine standing on a fucking giant basketball, like slick as fuck, an ice ball. I don't know, the music's annoying. But there you go. It does look like a vent cap or something. There's the ladder for it. And there's another manway right there. It does look like a vent cap of some sort. At least it's protected from like insects and shit. Looks like it's got grating over it and some holes there. A lot of times that's where the metering device would be. I used to work for the water department. Now, the few times I've been on a water tower, not many. It's not like something I went out and checked like once a month. I probably was on a water tower with that job like 2 or 3 times. And then I was on a water tower probably 3 or 4 times putting cell phone antennas on some in some major cities where they have water towers on top of buildings and not a whole lot of trees and mountains and shit. We put cell phone antennas on the water towers, but I'm part of the, I would say I'm part of the 5G cabal, but I'm more like the 4G cabal because it's been years ago when they were rolling out 4G. There you go. There's where he was hiding at. The Trumpster.
All right, so just from that video, we can tell that, number one, that window absolutely provides a good vantage point to President Trump, without a doubt. It also gives us a good vantage point to potentially align our shot with crooks to some extent. I'll be honest with you, this is exactly what I thought was the greatest possibility. This was the conspiracy that I definitely thought, hey, you know what, if I was going to create a patsy for this, I'd want a competent shooter covering
Yeah, here's how real snipers shoot, right? They backed off from the window. They've either got something to break up the lines of the gun, and even in the daylight, you'll have a grid filter so you don't get fucking the sunburst back off of it. You'll have a silhouette over the gun. It breaks up the sight lines, and a lot of times this will even go up over your head to break up your body lines.
incompetent shooters and then make sure that the incompetent shooter takes the fall. And the more that we can align those shots, the better off we are. But then I saw this bit of evidence from Mike Bell. Here's his information right here. Make sure you give him a follow. I think he's done an excellent job with this. I also like the fact that he is out of South Africa, doesn't really seem to have a dog in the fight. He's just curious, very smart guy, and has made some really good animations that I think are actually, these provide some of the best evidence, these trajectories specifically, provides the best evidence of what is real and what is not that I've seen out there at all. And while there's been a lot of analysis done on sound and all these other things we'll talk about in just a minute, there's been almost no real analysis of these trajectories the way that he has. And I think that has done a disservice to this entire discussion because, well, watch this and then tell me what you think at the end of it.
Well, normal fucking people don't do trajectory data. Well, there hasn't been. That's what the FBI is doing, motherfucker. What do you expect the fucking populace to come through and be forensic experts on fucking trajectories?
All these 8 shots from the same weapon and then a different one. 8 shell casings were found next to the murderer, according to officials. That was the same number deduced from the data before hearing the official count.
Some people saying there were shots coming from a water tower or something. Where is that water tower?
Now, here's the trajectories. I think this is what matters the most, because what he does here with the trajectory analysis, which really isn't being done anywhere else, at least not to this level, I think gives us the most important information that we've received so far.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so some people were saying that
that did look like all the same shot signatures, and you would be able to tell a difference. As long as it's coming from it doesn't matter if you're recording on a shitty cell phone. As long as it's coming from the same spot. Now, there could be 2 guys laying on top of each other with ARs that sound pretty similar, the same build or whatever. But even like if they're laying in line, that one person's body is going to change the sound signature. So if like we got snipers firing over, counter snipers and snipers firing, even from a potato-ass phone like Bert would be using, you'll be able to tell the sound signature difference.
on top of the water tower. I mean, they see a blob and the blob moves. And the other reason why that's complete nonsense, the guy wouldn't have a shot because it's blocked by the big screen. It's impossible shot.
All right, so let's talk about the water tower now with that information in mind. I've heard 2 kind of competing theories with the water tower. I've heard people say that the shots at Trump came from the water tower. And then again, I've heard where people say, hey, the shots that took Crooks out came from the water tower. I think this should definitively answer both of those. The line of sight from the water tower to Trump was blocked by the information board that Trump was looking at. On top of that, the trajectories just don't match up. We would have rounds impacting in different places, have those shots come from the water tower. So given the different angles and what we expect to see,
even if he could get a shot off, they'd be falling in like the front row is where shots would be landing and shit.
I think we can rule out the shots toward Trump as being, from the water tower. I don't think that the people being hit would have been hit. They're not in the same trajectory as well out there that show Crooks. Looking at the angle that we have here is we would see just above the left eye. There is no trajectory from the water tower that would allow that. But just looking at the angle that we have here is we would see a round that would, whether it hit or miss Crooks, that round would penetrate that roof without a doubt. So there's no evidence of that. Hopefully everybody's seen the video with the law enforcement on top of the roof. They're looking around the roof. There's video panning around the roof. I don't see any holes in the roof to keep it as short as possible. If you want to look at information, you can. But most of you have already seen those videos. So I think, just based on that shows that anyone fired from the water tower. Now let's take a look at the second shooter window theory.
Okay, then the other shot that people are talking about is this one over here, which is...
That would have been a good spot. You know how I know this would have been a good spot? Because that's where they put the counter snipers, bro.
From this window, and this is the view. So, and they would have certainly from this view seen Crooks, and supposedly in these offices.
Fucking idiots, dude.
Certainly from his view, seen crooks, and supposedly in these offices should have been security people, and they would have seen the stage, but it doesn't really make any sense.
Well, then they couldn't have hit his ear from that angle. It doesn't look like.
Yeah, it would have been difficult. And also, the shot doesn't go past any of the victims. The victims were over there. There was the fatality, and here was David Dutch.
I can't believe that people look at these. Look at these. And we've seen this over and over again. I can't believe that people are still claiming that there was multiple shooters or he wasn't the shooter. Look at how these people are in the same fucking line. They're in a, like, the Corey and James are dead fucking accurate in the same line, right? Like the same bullet that went through Corey could have went through James. Like they're so fucking close. And then later on when he was hurried or rushed and towards the end of his firing spree, like obviously he goes, and they also go through Trump. They also go through Trump. Like, I can't believe that people would be like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if that work. It's amazing to me that the deep state is always all powerful. They can silence anybody. They can kill anybody. They can rig anything. They can hack satellites. They can do that. But then when they do something like this, supposedly, they're like, oh, they fucked up. Put a guy up on the water tower. Had the snipers facing the wrong way. They couldn't even keep the cops there. Like, wouldn't it make a better story?
Was David Dutch standing over here, and then James Copenhagen, who was sitting over there, or standing, we're not sure. So we know.
And not to mention, you got the first victim, Trump, 2 more victims, and the fucking high lifts, right? The off-road forklift. You got that too that had that was struck, and actually 2 of them. One of them was struck in a hose, and one of them was struck in the mast or something.
These are the 3 victims, which line up with the shot coming from Crooks, and the shot out the window doesn't go anywhere. That makes sense with what we see.
So again, trajectories. I think it was more compelling evidence than anything else that we've seen, and he does a good job with that. So I think
this guy here probably knows better than what he's talking about. I think he knows that this is what gets clicks right now.
Is pretty, again, that's pretty compelling to me. Knowing what I know about shooting from inside a window, those trajectories don't line up. They don't line up. They could hit Trump from inside that window. I think it'd be very difficult, or it doesn't make sense to me, especially understand if you're shooting out a window and this person would typically want to be in the back of the room. I'm not saying that's what happened, but there's no video evidence, or even there were people on the ground, that were looking up at that building while Crooks was shooting. So we see a lot of video evidence of that. If there was a person hanging out the window, they're hanging out the window, it's going to broaden how far they can shoot and probably make those trajectories align more. But without seeing somebody hanging out the window, tells me if there was a second shooter, they're deep in that room. If they're deep in that
hanging out the window is not going to fucking improve the trajectory in any way, shape, or form that would get you goddamn 60 yards that way. No fucking way. Hanging out the window is gonna broaden your angles, right? So like if you're in the window and facing Trump, you can shoot Trump. If you're out the window facing Trump, you can shoot Trump. But out the window now allows you to shoot left and right where no one fucking was and no one shot. It doesn't even make sense.
That room, they have that window that they're looking at. And look, you can actually even illustrate this to yourself. You go to the back of a room, you see a small window. And again, the window that we're talking about does look fairly small. But if you're at the back of the room, 10, 15 feet from that window, if you find a target, your sector of fire that you're able to achieve at the back of a room of that window, or even offset from that window at any distance, is very limited. So I don't think any of the trajectories that we know took place, which were those 3 rounds, we're going to talk about the other 5 rounds here in a second, and we're going to talk about other possible rounds as well. But I don't think that any of the 3 rounds that we have confirmed that hit people or hit things came from anything other than Crooks's position. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I don't think there's any evidence that suggests otherwise.
From that angle, it doesn't look like.
Yeah, it would have been difficult. And also, the shot doesn't go past any of the victims. The victims were over there. There was the fatality. And here was David Dutch standing over here, and then James Copenhagen, who was sitting over there, or standing, we're not sure. So we know those are the 3 victims, which line up with the shot coming from Crooks, and the shot out the window doesn't go anywhere. That makes sense with what we see.
To me, this is the most conclusive evidence, and I've tried to sit here and kind of steel man this and pull it apart. I don't see anything.
This guy might legit be an expert, and is just trying to dumb it down to get views, right?
That makes sense. So, but that's my conclusion.
I wouldn't even entertain the fuck.
On this evidence, I think this is the best evidence we've seen, is map out those trajectories as precise as possible. So I find all that extremely compelling. And the question is to you, and if not, again, leave those down in the comments. I want to hear what you have to say about that, or let me know if I'm missing something, because I'm definitely open to finding additional information out there that we can analyze and take a look at. The other thing is, well, Gary, I've heard a 9th shot and a 10th shot. There are reports on the ground that local snipers took additional shots. I don't even know if I've heard that in an official report. I hear that more as rumor, and I could be wrong in that. But let's say we did hear a 9th and 10th shot. Okay. So what consequence is that? We're not seeing any evidence of a 9th and 10th shot anywhere. Those could have been local law enforcement snipers taking shots at Crooks. I'm not aware that they actually hit him. I'm not aware of any other information that's pointing to that we have impacts. We have the idea or rumors of shots fired, but we have no actual impacts. Even if that's true, but there were additional shots fired. I think those shots most likely came from local law enforcement, and then for whatever reason, they didn't have an overall impact of the situation, good, bad, or indifferent. But again, in the comments, let me know what you think.
Who cares if there's 30 shots? If they didn't come across the audience, the stage, and who cares? Mag dump on that motherfucker. That's where they went.
on that. All right, so we covered the water tower theory. We covered the second shooter, at least from the open window theory. If we have additional theories of possible other shooters that might align with the trajectories that we have, because I think that's like, those trajectories are pretty important. Those are the best indicators. That is rock solid information. We know rounds hit this person, this person, this person. So if we're going to talk about an additional shooter, we have to have those align as well. And I'm waiting to see that, and I'm open to seeing that. All right, so now that I've given evidence against those theories, I know I'm going to get hit up in the comments. You know, you're a propagandist from the States, you know, all this other stuff. Folks, you clearly don't know the channel if you think this. I'll tell you right now that I personally believe.
Or you're a state propagandist because you don't believe the conspiracy that everybody else believes.
That you know, the U.S. government definitely had a hand in the JFK assassination, and you know, I'm probably about 50-50 on the moon landing personally. So that's where I stand on conspiracies. I'm completely open to it without a doubt. So what does that leave us? Look, I do think that there is a real chance of conspiracy, and here's my hypothesis out there. Number one, I think there was.
Wait a second. You just went through all the evidence that the conspiracy, the best leading evidence that all these, and you're like, you know, I do think that there could be a conspiracy.
The real conspiracy of, at a minimum, that we had government officials intentionally denying resources to President Trump because of their own political bias and their hostility toward Trump. That conspiracy to me is not only a real possibility, I think that's highly likely. So
Nancy
that's
Drew
number one. Number two, the second conspiracy.
The real Nancy Drew. Not that flip-flop old geriatric bitch that walks around here in JFK everywhere.
So I'm definitely willing to consider, and I think all of us should look into, is was Crooks prepared, assisted, or radicalized by our own government? I think that's something we really need to look into. You know, we saw what took place with the FBI in Michigan, where they essentially prepared, radicalized, encouraged, you know, a couple of nitwits to basically conspire to attack and or kidnap, I believe, Governor Whitmer. These were two men that were, by all accounts, were genuinely mentally deficient that the FBI was able to influence and convince to be part of this conspiracy to kidnap Governor Whitmer. You know, was that something that they did to Crooks and then just let him keep going? I don't know. What I do know is that we've never seen hostilities directed by the federal government toward a candidate like President Trump, and I think everything's on the table. I think what they have done to him on the documents case, on many of these other legal cases that have continued just to fall apart, I think given all that, you know, you really have to take a hard look at, hey, you know, did they run out of options and then actually plan to execute President Trump? I don't know. I think those are things that we have to genuinely consider. Maybe they knew about Crooks and his plans and just let it happen, or maybe they had more direct involvement in it, or maybe they just knew that by denying security resources to, for better or worse, one of the most polarizing political figures in American history, that this would just be the natural outcome, that somebody would end up taking shots at him, and you know, they thought that if they just didn't give those resources that they knew he should have, that any person doing any sort of risk assessment, security, vulnerability assessment, look, Trump should have had a lot of more resources than we had on the ground. We should have had a lot more prep work done on the advanced. And look, in that interview that I did with that former Secret Service counter sniper team member, he talks about what should have been done, what normal should have looked like, given the fact that, number one, he was the candidate apparent, and that he was a former president. So I'm definitely not against the idea that there was conspiracy. I just don't think that right now we have any evidence of anyone that was shooting from the water tower, really anyone on the water tower, but if there was, I don't think that's consequential. And number two, I don't think there's any evidence that we have of a second shooter, and I don't think there's evidence that there was a shooter specifically within the open windows. But again, tell me where I'm wrong down in the comments, or if you agree with me, let me know that as well. And make sure you join us this Wednesday. We'll talk about this again. All right, so hopefully you found this helpful, hopefully you found it informative. I'm sure I left some things out, I'm sure I got some things wrong, I'm sure I have some things you disagree with. Let me know all that down in the comments. We'll discuss it. Or again, come join us this Wednesday. We can talk about it live, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time right here on YouTube and Rumble. And you know what, politics are great. What we're about is trains.
Here's I guess, the rundown from what happened. This is posted 11 hours ago. Secret Service snipers and former President Trump's security detail didn't know there was a gunman on a nearby roof at Butler, PA rally until shots were fired. Acting Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe told lawmakers Tuesday why it matters. Rowe detailed communication breakdowns and faulty counter-drone system at the rally as the agency in Congress probed why Trump was allowed to take the stage, despite reports from local police that a suspicious individual was spotted 90 minutes before the shooting. The shooter, later identified as Thomas Matthew Crooks, fired shots from the roof of a building owned by AGR International and Manufacturing Company in Pennsylvania. What they're saying, based on what I know right now, neither the Secret Service counter-sniper teams nor members of the former president's security detail had any knowledge that there was a man on the AGR roof with a firearm, Rose said in a joint congressional hearing. He said personnel were not aware the assailant had a firearm until they heard gunshots. That's very specific. They were not aware that there was a man on the roof with a gun. Did they know that there was reports of a man on a roof? Because he said they were not aware that the assailant had a firearm until they heard gunshots. Didn't say they weren't aware that there was somebody on the roof. They weren't aware that the assailant had a firearm until their gunshots fired. During questioning, he told lawmakers information was stuck or siloed in a local security channel. So they had a group chat that I guess didn't involve the Secret Service members, right? They had like a group text message that they were all texting to. Siloed in a local security channel, adding nothing about the man on the roof, nothing about a man with a gun. Okay, so maybe not. Nothing about a man on a roof, nothing about a man with a gun made it over our nets. Rose said that within 15.5 seconds after Crooks fired the first 8 shots, he was neutralized. That's not a very good response time. Rose said he traveled to the Butler rally site shortly after becoming acting director, laid on the roof Crooks positioned himself on. What I saw made me ashamed, he said, adding, I cannot defend why that roof was not better secured. Do you think Secret Service agents get complacent? Especially counter-sniper teams. When's the last time we've had somebody wild enough to try to take a shot at, a presidential candidate or the president? He said during questioning that there was a connectivity challenge that hindered a counter-drone system being deployed earlier in that day that could have detected crooks' use of a drone. Now, I don't know what this counter-drone system is. I've seen other drones that drop nets. I've seen drones that go up and shoot a fucking, like, almost like an EMP device at them and knock them out of the sky. I've seen drones that just ram into shit. Plus, I've seen a lot of ground launch shit. Ground launch nets. They make shotgun rounds that take down drones. They make this thing that just throws out a bunch of glitter and tinsel and ties up in the fucking propellers of a drone. I don't know. Or do they just track it and see where it lands and who picks it up? I don't know. There is remote ID now required on bigger drones, but most people aren't using that, especially if you're using it for criminal activity. But he said it was a connectivity challenge that hindered a counter-drone system being deployed earlier today. It's because they can't use DJI shit anymore. None of the other drones connect where the fuck that I've ever had. I feel as though we could have perhaps found him, he said. We could have maybe stopped him. Between the lines, Rowe outlined swift changes he's made at the agency and struck a different tone than former director Kimberly Cheadle during her grilling on Capitol Hill. Cheadle resigned after mounting bipartisan calls for her to step away or be fired. Rowe pledged full support to ongoing investigations and said he takes calls for accountability very seriously, adding the Secret Service Office of Professional Responsibility is reviewing the actions and decision-making before and on the day of the attack. At the conclusion of the hearing, Rowe agreed to commit to having agents available for congressional interviews in a matter of days. Rand Paul addressed Rowe after he delivered an emotional answer and presented recreated images depicting the view of Crook's prone position on the roof. Director, I'm encouraged by your attitude and what you brought here today, Paul said. Yes, but later in the hearing, shouting erupted between Republican lawmakers and Rowe. Senator Josh Hawley, Republican from Missouri, repeatedly questions why no one had been fired over the security failures that day, to which Rowe said he would not rush to judgment amid ongoing investigations. They just want blood, right? Blood for blood. They want somebody fired immediately. This could have been our Texas school book depository, the Secret Service chief said during the back and forth with Hawley. I have lost sleep over that for the last 17 days. Let's do this. Hold on.
Senator Hawley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Rowe, can you put your first poster, your first demonstrative back up?
Please put A up, please.
Let's make sure everybody can see it. This is the photograph, I believe, that you took, your team took of the roof, the AGR roof. Yeah, that's the one. Okay, so from this vantage point, as the law enforcement who are in those windows, as they look left, they should be able to see the shooter clearly there on the AGR second floor roof. My question is, why is there not a Secret Service counter sniper on that roof?
So, Senator, we're when we post up, our methodology is to look at things that can see in on our protectees, so that they can provide that coverage.
But why?
Right. We look out on things that can see our protectees. So they're near Trump looking out, right? They wouldn't be out facing in towards Trump because they get shot in the fucking back, in case you don't know. That's why. But they set off a cordon and they're looking out and beyond, and everything inside supposed to be secured. But you wouldn't put somebody on that roof facing, but you would put somebody, that roof should have been covered. I'm not saying it shouldn't have been covered, but you wouldn't put somebody on that roof facing in towards Trump, and they're too far to be facing out away from Trump, right? You would put somebody in a building or somebody to cover that roof.
Why is there not a Secret Service counter sniper there with clear line of sight? That roof has a clear line of sight to the former president. Why didn't you put a Secret Service counter sniper?
Because a Secret Service... I'm going to have a fucking aneurysm. That roof has clear line of sight to Trump. Why would you not put a Secret Service agent on a roof with clear line of sight to Trump? The Secret Service counter sniper doesn't need clear line of sight to Trump. He needs clear line of sight to places that have clear line of sight to Trump. Unless you're trying to make the Secret Service sniper the assassin, you're saying it backwards.
There. The Secret Service's counter sniper role is to neutralize those threats that are looking in on us from where the protectee is, not necessarily.
You're going to need crayons, man.
Maybe you might want to revise that protocol in light of what happened here?
No. No. We would never put snipers outside looking in at Trump. Why? Because there's an entire tactical team around him to take care of threats that are close to him. The counter snipers are to take care of threats that are far away looking at him. Where is the best place to be able to see those threats from? With him, looking out.
They were protecting the principal, and I think
principal got shot.
I understand that, sir.
So do you think you might want to revise the protocol? Let me ask you this: who is the lead site agent?
There you go. That's their go-to. You think you might want to revise it? Let me ask you this: they love to cut a motherfucker off. Reclaiming my time. Reclaiming my time.
Who made the decision to leave the AGR building completely outside of the security perimeter? Who was that?
Senator, I cannot give you that name. This person is operational. They're still doing investigations. They're still doing protective visits.
Have they been relieved of duty?
Senator, they have not been relieved of duty.
I know their name, by the way. Why have they not been relieved of duty?
They are still cooperating, not only being interviewed by the FBI, but also by our Office of Professional Responsibility.
They just, again, this is a blood for blood, right? Like, maybe there was a reason they did this. Maybe there was a reason they shouldn't have done this. Maybe there's a reason, everybody would look at it and be like, oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense. There was a failure somewhere else, right? But they just want somebody fired. And you think that when they get the fucking director to step down, that'd be enough. They want more people fired. Everybody fired.
And we will let the facts of the mission assurance and any further investigations play out.
Isn't the fact that a former president was shot, that a good American is dead, that other Americans were critically wounded, isn't that enough mission failure for you to say that the person who decided that building should not be in the security perimeter probably ought to be stepped down?
Wasn't there a gunman that just walked up and started shooting a bunch of congressmen while they were playing baseball one time?
I think you're using the word decided, and I think we need to allow the investigation play out.
They don't even want fucking answers. They want their 5 minutes to be featured on the news. If he wanted an answer, he wouldn't have cut him off after he asked him a question.
Okay, so who did make the decision then? If it wasn't the lead site agent, who made the decision not to put that in the security perimeter?
Senator, you're zeroing in on one particular agent. I want to find out exactly what was the entire decision process. So I think I want to be neutral and make sure that we get to the bottom of it and interview everybody in order to determine if there was more than one person who perhaps exercised bad judgment.
Well, sure. My question is, why don't you relieve everybody of duty who made bad judgment?
Because it's an investigation. He just told you. I want an investigation to know. You're trying to center in on one person and was it their call? I want the investigation to tell me how many people exercise bad judgment so I can fucking take care of it. Why don't you just go ahead and fire them? Well, we haven't identified them yet.
Yeah, you're right. I am zeroing in on somebody. I'm trying to find somebody who's accountable here. And so you're telling me that the person who made the decision not to include this in the perimeter has not been.
If there was a so I don't know what their typical cordon is, what their typical area is, right? If there's a good reason to leave that out of the area, and it may have been a tactical reason, it may have been a manpower, I don't know. If there's a good reason to leave that out of the area and they assign local law enforcement for it, then local law enforcement fucking failed, right?
Relieved of duty. What about the person who's in charge of the interoperability of radio frequencies between local law enforcement and Secret Service? Has that person been relieved of duty?
No, Senator, because interoperability is a challenge, is a greater challenge than just one person. On that day, we had a counterpart system. It failed.
As the person who made the decision to send Donald Trump on.
So they had some type of system, an intermediary system, right? So we have a Secret Service radio, then we have local law enforcement radio, and then they had some type of crossover, and the intermediary system failed. So that explains why they didn't have contact with each other.
On the stage, knowing that you had a security situation, has that person been relieved of duty?
No, sir, they haven't.
Has the person who decided not to pull the person who made the decision?
He doesn't want answers.
Decision to send Donald Trump onto stage, knowing that you had a security situation, has that person been relieved of duty?
No, sir, they haven't.
Has the person who decided not to pull the former president off of stage when you knew that in your work the locals were working?
So he's building up his. This is his. I'm going to be on the news tonight.
A serious security situation, has that person been relieved of duty?
No, sir. Again, I refer you back to my original answer that we are investigating this through a mission assurance, and as opposed to zeroing in on one.
What more do you need to investigate to know
exactly what the decision-making process was?
To know that there were critical enough failures that some individuals ought to be held accountable? I mean, what more do you need to know?
What I need
he said he's going to hold people accountable as soon as the investigation identifies where the failures were. In the military, we do a thing called an AAR, after action review, where when you go on a mission, you have contact, you're doing training, you go to a fucking class. It doesn't matter. Immediately, you stand down with everybody there, the instructors, the NCOIC, the OIC, all the people that are in charge and everything, and you go over everything you fucking did. I'm sure they have something like that in the Secret Service, but now that it's a full-blown investigation, it's even bigger than that.
to know is exactly what happened, and I need my investigators to do their job, and I cannot put my thumb on the scale. Otherwise,
what do you mean put your thumb on the scale?
You're asking me, Senator, to completely make a rush to judgment about somebody failing. I acknowledge this was a failure of the
Is it not prima facie that somebody has failed?
He just said, I acknowledge this was a failure. I acknowledge this was a failure. Oh, is it not prima facie to acknowledge this was a failure?
Former president was shot.
Sir, this could have been our Texas school book depository. I have lost sleep over that for the last 17 days,
Then
just like you
fire
have.
somebody to
And I will
hold
tell
them
you,
accountable.
Senator, that I will
just fire somebody.
Not rush to judgment, that people will be held accountable, and I will do so with integrity and not rush to judgment and put people
I can't believe
unfairly
that you
persecuted.
are unfairly persecuted.
Unfairly,
people
sir,
who are
we
dead.
have to be able to have a proper...
Yeah, I don't... Josh Hawley understands this. 100% he understands this. Would we fire the person that was far off to the right out in the middle of a field, standing by their post, covering their ass, doing their job? Would we fire that? Would it make you happy if I fired that person that couldn't even see the shooter from where they were at, but they did their fucking job? Is that the person you want fired? Of course not. You want the... He's saying he's going to fire people. He wants to get an investigation done to figure out who, instead of just finger pointing and saying, this one, this one, and this one, you're all gone.
Investigation into this, Senator.
You said earlier that you've got to make sure that your protocols are followed, and unless there's a protocol violation, people wouldn't be disciplined. I would just say to you, I don't really care that much about your protocols. I think if your protocols don't provide for the fact that when a former president is shot, when an American is killed, when other rally-goers, innocent people who just showed up on the day, when they are shot at and critically wounded, if that isn't a protocol violation prima facie, you should revise your protocols.
Senator, I think this is where you and I agree. This was a failure, and we will get to the bottom of it.
Well, I hope you're going to do something about it. Let me ask you something else. The Real Clear Politics reports this morning that you were directly involved in denying additional security resources and personnel, including counter snipers, not just to this event, but over the last 2 years that President Trump's team repeatedly asked for these additional resources, and you personally were involved in denying
them. That's the claim that him and Cheeto, because of the distance from D.C., and the travel and expense.
Is that true?
Senator, as I stated earlier, that is not true.
So you never denied any resources to former President Trump's team?
No, not me. No, sir.
And you weren't involved in any of that? You were never involved in the decision-making?
No, sir, I was not.
Let me ask you just one or two other things here quickly. Well, whistleblowers tell me that, in fact, law enforcement were stationed to be on that roof, and that law enforcement abandoned their post because it was too hot. Is that accurate?
Senator, I have heard that as well. Again, they posted up inside. And I think moving forward, as I said earlier, we're going to ensure that state and local counter snipers are on roofs.
But do you know if someone was supposed to be on the roof? Do you know if someone was, in fact, that's what the whistleblower tells me, that may or may not be accurate. Do you know that to be the fact? Was somebody posted to the roof, local law enforcement or whomever?
I do not know that to be a fact.
Well, can I ask you why you don't know that?
Again, Senator, we are looking at this, and they
because there's an investigation going on. Holy fuck. I don't...
should have been on that roof, and the fact that they were in the building is something that I'm still...
When the investigation comes out and says this person failed, this person made a bad decision, this person didn't cover their post, this person left it, fire them all. I agree, right? That's their job. That's what they're supposed to do. Reprimand them all, whatever the fuck you want to do. But while the investigation is still going on and they don't even know where the failure happened, well, you just want to fire everybody that was there that day?
Still trying to understand.
I just want to express my frustration, Director, that 17 days or whatever it's been, that whistleblowers are telling us more...
Long enough for the 2-centimeter wound to heal, by the way.
Than you are, and you don't know, you haven't ascertained if there was supposed to be law enforcement on the roof. That seems like a pretty basic fact. I'm also told that local law enforcement suppliers offered the Secret Service drones, and you declined them. Is that true?
So, Senator, one, I've been very transparent and forthcoming.
Your agency has not been transparent and forthcoming, so please, let's not go there.
I have been forthcoming, sir.
Well, that remains to be seen. You've been on the job a few days. So far, you fired nobody. Now, the drones.
Thank you,
Have
sir.
you offered drones?
So far, you fired nobody, okay? So far, you fired nobody. And you've been on the job 2 days. What are you even doing? 2 centimeters. You know a micro SD card? A micro SD card or a SIM card that goes in your phone? They're the bigger size. The tall part of it is 2 centimeters, right? A 2 centimeter sculpted out hole was apparently, according to Ronnie Jackson, was in Trump's ear. And then 14 days later, it's gone. That's 2 centimeters. A penny. A penny's 2 centimeters round, isn't it? A penny, dime, somewhere around there, 2 centimeters.
Senator, so there was an offer to fly a drone on that day.
And why did you deny it?
Again, I think the ability of local law enforcement to provide an asset, we probably should have taken them up on it if it was offered.
No, he didn't have plastic surgery. I think he was probably hit by a fragment of a bullet. That was a fragmented bullet. That was probably enough to give him a scratch where his ear connected to his head, and that was about it. I don't know. I'm over here using freedom units. The fuck everybody's doing. Two AA batteries would be 2.8 centimeters because they're 14 millimeters around, right? It'd be about the size of in between a penny and a dime. A penny is 1.9 centimeters, so it's the size of. Oh, I'm sorry, AAA. It's the size of a. I don't know AAA size offhand. I know AA because I've 3D print shit for them. It'd be a size of a penny. It's 1.9 centimeters. That didn't happen. Ronnie Jackson fucking lied about it. Ronnie Jackson fucking lied. He said it had the high impact trauma. He said it was a sculpted out 2 centimeter. That was like a sculpted out is when like you basically like you take like a scallop or something, right? Like you take like a hole and dig it. Wound that was 2 centimeters. He's fucking lying. He's 100% fucking lying. Yeah, obviously less than an inch. He's fucking lying. An inch is 25.4 millimeters, something like that. 25 and a half is what I always use on design on Fusion 360, but I think it's 25.4. The hole the size of the penny would have been sculpted out. Even if it just hit the top side of his ear, if we're doing 2 centimeters, then it would at least have to be half a penny of his ear missing, right? But there's nothing there. It just didn't happen. Not like that. Maybe he was hit with a bullet fragment. Maybe he's hit with shrapnel. I don't know. I think the FBI stated that they thought it was a bullet or a fragment of a bullet. I'm leaning heavily towards a fragment of a bullet. Or it had to be the craziest shot. There's no way it was 2 centimeters worth. It had to be the craziest. If it's a full bullet, we're talking about just a fucking a nothing of the bullet hitting him. But there you go. And then there's idiots sending a video around saying, look at this black dot appear. That's the moment the bullet hit him. The fuck out of here. Yeah, I think that's it. We'll see if Wyatt Earp comes back, guys. I got to make up a Patreon show. I messed it up today. I'm going to try to get, when I do Patreon or Twitch, if I could get it to Twitter Spaces, that's audio only. And then people could listen to it for free on audio, but they're going to want to see the video, so hopefully they come join us on Twitch or Patreon. But we'll see if I can get it working or not. I'll try it tomorrow. I have to get here earlier to try it. The boss is back in town, so hopefully I won't be there as late through the week. So she's back taking care of business, and less of it falls on me. So thank you guys for joining us. I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm going to hop off here. Don't believe the hype. And damn, those MAGA people are weird. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see everybody on the next one. Have a good night. Love you. See you. Bye.
But I can tell you,
I gotta go home and paint Mariah's tits for Kamala Harris.
Particular show, you don't have the fork and balls to call out the people on this planet by name.
Full body paint. One tit says cat and the other one says lady.
The rest of the world, you don't have the fork and balls. You don't have the balls.
Okay, Scott. Here we go. I think I started some shit.
I'm so embarrassed that I fucking supported him, dude. Even after the 2020 election, before I started doing research and shit, I was so fucking embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed about that.
You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6th sense for the stupid shit. Where my true believer? Y'all need Jesus. Praise the Lord, head to the extreme. All these false fucking prophets who profit off of gossip. Worshipping Trump's cock and begging for a throat deposit. Swinging fucking meat hammers like four in a thong. He's strapped to the shaft, eating his chest like he's King Kong. Starving for attention, I'ma make your gut burst. I'll be your huckleberry, I can quench that thirst. Baby eating lizard people, alien sex. What's next, Trump?
Oh, my video actually stayed monetized today. I'm sure they'll correct that soon.
If he did, he get fucking superpowers. Here we go, I think it's
Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Donations, support, subscribers, all that. I appreciate it. There's some gifted subs. Even though it's less than $1,000, I'll say thank you one more time. But we're raising the amount, so I look cool on Twitter to KB Baby Boomers or whatever it was.
You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet.
Wide Earp, hit me up an email. I need some more information. I'm not following.
Jason Q's bedroom. Open his closet, I found some of his meat rockets. I strapped them to my shoes and then I flew through the roof. I found myself in orbit strapped to an F-16.
You know that. So there was a. Let me cover this right quick before we go, and then I'll end it. You know that there was a. There was an account called White Dudes for Harris. That it was a bunch of famous people and actors, even like the dude, the actor from The Dude or whatever. He was on. There's a bunch of different famous people and actors, and they were talking about voting for Harris and why they weren't voting for Trump. They raised $4 million for Kamala Harris's campaign. Twitter banned them that night for ban evasion. An account that's never existed before. Nobody that was featured in the video was banned from Twitter. Twitter banned them that night for ban evasion. Not to mention, actual journalists shared an actual AP-cited photograph of Trump's healed ear. Jeff Bridges, thank you. Of Trump's healed ear from the Associated Press. Banned for misinformation. Twitter, everybody said Twitter was biased to the left before, and now it's an order of magnitude worse, but to the right. You can't even share a picture of Trump's ear and say it healed. Bannable. I don't understand, but there you go. Twitter showing that MAGA is pretty weird. Also, Trump's just lying about Elon Musk giving him whatever $45 million a month. He went on Jordan Peterson's podcast and was like, "No, I am donating to him, but nowhere near that amount." So that's weird. We'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good night. Love you. See you. Bye.